Good morning, friends. Let's sing a morning song together. We'll be on the Teal Hymn Book, hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit. If you're joining us online, you can find the lyrics posted in the lyric sheet. Let's sing together.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. Thank you for joining us today. We're so glad, in fact, we're delighted that you're here. My name is Vanessa Gardner-Nagel, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of the worship arts team. I'm joined today by my colleague, Janet Spencer, whose pronouns are she, her. I am an elderly white woman with salt and pepper hair. I wear glasses, and today I have a sweater on that is the color of raisin, azure, and aqua. Figure that out. Leading worship with me today is our minister, Reverend Mary Gear, Reverend Sara Lewis, the Director of Community and Faith Development, and Troy Fisher, our music director. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. You are welcome here just as you are. Whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity, and in all the ways you are still growing and becoming. Here's a few things you should know about our service today so you can feel welcome. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see the frequently creative subtitles on the screen in front and on Zoom for those online. We are a multi-generational community that welcomes people of all ages in the sanctuary. There's also a nursery care, and story time program for children in the classroom wing. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities for your hands so everyone can be here in a way that supports them. Please be where you're most comfortable. We are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning, visible and less visible. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Mary and Reverend Sara. For those online, we invite you to go to a breakout room for virtual coffee chat. For those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. At 12:15 today, please join us here in the sanctuary or back in the main Zoom room for a forum with guest speaker Harriet Ammann, reflecting on her story of growing up in Nazi Germany in her earliest years. Thank you all for your generous contributions of food in our recent food drive to support our immigrant neighbors. The organizers have been overwhelmed with donations. Isn't that fabulous? And we are pausing the collection of food for now. Thank you for your generosity. We're also collecting $25 gift cards for families at our neighborhood elementary school, L.P. Brown, and those can be brought to Reverend Sara. We are also collecting new toys and books for the Joy and Justice Toy Drive, which can be brought to a collection box in the Commons anytime UUSC is open. There are many things happening at UUSC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. As we enter into this time of worship, we invite you to open your heart and mind to the possibility of transformation in this gathering of community. It is so good to be together. Leave it.
This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with words of Pat Uribe-Lichty. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring life itself to threatened peoples. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Mary. I use she, her pronouns. I am an older white woman with short, curly, brown and silver hair. I'm wearing glasses, a blue shirt, and a black sweater. And my stole today is woven bright-colored ribbons, a little bit of color on this foggy, cold day. Today we begin lighting our Advent candles. The placing of candles upon a circle of evergreens is an age-old tradition. Lighting additional candles as the light wanes has been part of human rituals for centuries upon centuries. We are warmed by the glow, We are reminded that the wheel of the seasons will turn and the brilliant lengthening days will come back. The original Advent wreath in the Christian tradition dates back to the 16th century, and it included a candle for each of the 24 days leading up to Christmas. For us here in this time, the circle of evergreens reminds us that life and love will never end. We light candles each week with anticipation as we know the new season will soon be here. Days will become longer, and we know the warmth of the candles will soon be replaced by the warmth of the sun. The first Advent candle is the candle of hope. Hope is the motivating force that helps us through times of despair. The days are getting shorter, the weather colder, and the nights longer. Hope tells us that longer days are ahead, that new life will emerge, and that we need to hold on just a little bit longer. With hope, we begin our journey toward the sun and the new life that it brings. We light the candle for hope. Our opening words for today are offered by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. There is too much beauty in the world to give up on it just yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around the still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still steady hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day in the rising of the sun across the foothills, the light that spreads across the face of someone we love, the look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life, loving us just as it is, just as we are. For this hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of the still possible world. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together again out of the Teal Hymn Book, hymn number 1017, Building a New Way. I invite you to rise in body and spirit, and let's sing together.
We are building a new way. Good morning. I'm Reverend Sara. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a middle-aged white woman with dark brown curly hair, today wearing a brown dress and a bright yellow stole. And the story that I have to share with you today comes from a colleague, Reverend Sara Lawal, who is the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Boise, Idaho. And she shares that she's never been one of those people with a green thumb. Now, in fact, she's a bit embarrassed about how many plants and gardens under her care have in fact withered and died. And when Reverend Lawal looks at others who have beautiful, flourishing plants and gardens and green houseplants all over, she wonders, how? How do they have the time and the energy, much less the skill? How does this happen? Well, one year, Reverend Lawal went with a friend to a plant sale at a local high school. It was a fundraiser, and they were selling these hanging flower baskets. And Reverend Lawal's friend bought one of these baskets every year, and it looked great for the friend. So this year, Reverend Lawal thought, okay, this is my year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy one of these flowering baskets, and I'm going to focus on just one plant. Just one, but I'm going to keep it alive. And so she bought the same type of flowering basket as her friend, and she took it home, and she diligently watered it and took care of it, and it was doing great for a couple weeks. And then it wasn't doing so great. It was wilting. It was not looking good. There were no new flowers on it. And so with this plant emergency in mind, she called her friend. You've got to come over. You've got to tell me what to do. It's not, I have one plant, my one plant. And so her friend came over and looked at it and said, oh, well, are you deadheading your flowers? What? What is that? I've never even heard of it. Well, said the friend, you just pinch off the dead flower from the stem so there's room for new flowers to bloom. Oh. Well, with this new information, Reverend Lawal continued to care for this one plant, and it made it through the whole season looking good. Not as good as her friends, but still looking good. And now, to date, Reverend Lawal shares that she now has a couple hanging baskets of flowers, a small patch of herbs, and a few houseplants, and they're all alive. She still doesn't have a magical green thumb, but she has the confidence now to try. So, what gives us the confidence to try? Sometimes it's just a nudge of encouragement or a little bit of advice from a friend. Or it might be that we need the tools and the resources loaned to us for now. This is the work of trying to give a nudge of confidence that the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, UUSC for short, does around the world. UUSC partners with organizations and individuals around the world who are themselves gardeners of hope and justice. Often, UUSC might be the very first funder for a grassroots, pretty new organization that is doing good work, but needs that nudge, that little bit of help to grow bigger, to network with others, and to make their impact larger in the world. In this time where there are so many big problems, it can feel like the little actions that we do aren't enough. But just like a gardener knows that you have to do the little things, the daily tending and watering, or the garden won't flourish, we too can be part of doing the little things of contributing to a flourishing garden of justice and love in the world. So right now, today, we're launching the Guest at Your Table program, which is the annual fundraiser for the UUSC, for the Service Committee. You can pick up an envelope or a box in the Commons. You can also contribute online at their website. Every donation, no matter how small, still helps water that garden of justice and love in the world. So please join with us in this important work. Thus ends our story for today.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. This is an opportunity to express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. This is an opportunity, we each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than any of us can do alone. If you are new or visiting us for the first or second time, you are our guest, and we do not expect you to contribute. However, if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share is accepted with gratitude. The offering collected here does two things. Half helps the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by our regular pledges. The other half of our offering goes to charity. Most is shared with an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values, and a small portion goes to the UUSC's Benevolence Fund to support the more urgent needs in our community. Our Share the Plate organization for November and December is Rebuilding Together Thurston County, an all-volunteer organization that provides free home repairs. This is what they share about their work.
And our affiliate in Thurston County was founded in 2003 by concerned community members and the Olympia Master Builders Association.
There's a lot of folks that really, for whatever reason, can't do repairs on their house. So organizations like Rebuilding Together can come in and really help those folks stay in their houses, which is important.
Otherwise, I would be still leaking and the roof would be coming down.
What we didn't know until we got sent out on our first few jobs was the depths of poverty here are fairly deep. They're also fairly hidden. It's hard to see them.
What an amazing group. We offer our thanks also to all who give to the offering electronically. You can find out about that in the order of service or in the OUUC website. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you so much for your generosity in all the ways you share your many gifts. When we gather, we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We come together in community in times of worry and fear and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community this morning bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. So let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat. I invite you to allow its resonance into your body. It's the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of our community. I invite you to take a deep breath as you settle in wherever you are. Feel the air, the breath of life as it leaves and enters your body. Feel the earth solid beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. We extend our love and care to OUUC member Cindy Elliott and her family today. Cindy's son Craig was in a very bad car accident on Friday and is currently in Harborview Hospital getting the care he needs as he holds on to life. Craig is a single dad for his son Carson. And Cindy says that they don't have any needs right now other than our prayers and wishes for Craig and Carson and Cindy and their whole family. They'll let us know if there's anything else that's needed right now. Cindy, may you and your family know that we are right here with you. We're helping you hold on to that thread of hope, and you are not alone. This Thanksgiving weekend, we acknowledge that we live, work, and worship on native land, the first people who are still here. We're stewards of this beautiful place, graced with the ocean, the mountains, meadows, and forests. We share this place. May we recommit to care for this land and all of its peoples. And last tomorrow is World AIDS Day, one of 11 global public health campaigns marked by the World Health Organization. It was started in 1988 with the purpose of raising awareness of HIV and mourning the 44 million people who have died from it. Currently, almost 41 million people live with HIV/AIDS globally, and more than 1 million are newly infected every year. For the first time since 1988, on the order of the current president, the U.S. government will not commemorate World AIDS Day tomorrow.
Well, some of us will.
We stand for science, for pluralism and interdependence, and we will mark this day in honor of the people who have died, for those who are living with this disease, and for those who continue the work of the common good and public health in what are often hostile environments. Let's open our circle wide now. For those of us joining on Zoom today, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those of us in the sanctuary will be able to see your sharing on the screen. It's shared with me and the pastoral care team after today. And for those on site today, I invite you to come forward if there's something you'd like to bring in community. You can place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. So let's hear the heartbeat of our community as we reach out our hearts in love and care to all who share today. We'll place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And one more stone placed in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know that you are loved. I invite you to get comfortable wherever you are. Find some ease in your body, maybe some ease in our minds. As the ancient philosopher Lao Tzu said, with our noisy minds in this noisy world, we don't always have the space to sit and be still and wait for our mud to settle. So let's be in silence now as we wait for our mud to settle just a little bit, as we hold each other in the powerful love of community.
I invite you to remain seated and let's sing together. My life flows on in endless song. It's hymn number 108.
That hills are
Today's first reading is Desert Flowers by Reverend Mishra Marzetti. Reverend Misha Marzetti serves as a senior minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and has served extensively in Unitarian Universalist leadership. He brings to the ministry his multicultural experience serving as a U.S. diplomat during the Clinton administration. He writes, "Improbably, the wind-blown seed found its way here to a long, beautiful stretch of land, but one that was hot, dry, and arid. A spark of life resting in an unprepared desert, quenching life-giving sustenance. The rain comes and goes, even if infrequently, sometimes only a few drops at a time, and the seed begins to take root. Possibly brought alive, but what life is this amidst the harshness? Pocket mice, rattlesnakes, camel spiders, danger and inhospitality lurking everywhere. One chance encounter gone wrong could bring death to the seedling, and yet somehow the intrinsic invitation to thrive, to flourish, and grow finds a way even when it is a struggle, poking gently up from the cracked desert earth, a beautiful pink, 5-petaled phacelia blooms spectacularly, improbably. We are those wind-blown seeds, the universe's longing for life, for thriving, for beauty, even when it's against the odds."
I'm going to take us back to some long ago planted seeds. In the late 14th century, a man named Jan Hus, sometimes anglicized as John Goose, was a Catholic priest and theological school teacher in Bohemia. He is remembered now as the very first Protestant for his protests against the Catholic Church hierarchy and doctrine, and for the radical actions he took, including appealing directly to Jesus Christ as ultimate judge and authority, rather than respecting the hierarchy and authority of the Pope and other Catholic authorities. He also, after traveling to meet the poorer and less educated priests of the countryside, translated important texts into Czech so that priests and lay people with little grasp of Latin could understand church teachings. And he is remembered for protesting a church that treated the rich differently than the poor, through practices such as selling of indulgences and keeping the communion cup only for the priests and not allowing the common people to take communion from it. Now, this was all during a time of schism and dispute within the Catholic Church, as two different men had claimed to be elected pope. In order to settle church disputes, a council was called, the Council of Constance, and Hus was invited to attend and defend his teachings with a promise of safe passage. It's likely that Hus knew that this wouldn't actually be safe, as he made his will before he traveled. But Hus went. He was imprisoned, put on trial, and he refused to renounce his beliefs or teachings. And so in 1415, Hus was found guilty and burned at the stake. Now, a few legends arose about his death, including that he carried a communion cup in his hand as he was burned, and that he said, "You may burn a goose today, but in 100 years a swan will rise which you cannot burn." Now, it's said that the swan he prophesied was Martin Luther, and this legend was lifted up by Luther's biographers to show that his work was divinely inspired. Hus's death and teachings inspired an uprising in Bohemia, and the Hussites fought for many years against the Catholic armies, even holding off a crusade that was sent against them. Their symbol was a chalice, often a flaming chalice, inspired by the legend that Hus held the cup in his hand as he was burned. When the Unitarian Service Committee hired an artist, Hans Deutsch, to create a symbol for their work in Europe during World War II, it is very possible Deutsch was inspired by the Hussite symbol of resistance, the flaming chalice. In fact, we are mentioned in Christian History magazine as, quote, co-opting the symbol from the Hussites, although, quote, Unitarians can claim no theological link with Hus. Now, I disagree. While we are not a direct offshoot of Hussitism, the seeds that Jan Hus planted with his ideas and teachings were blown far and wide across Europe and sprouted in many places as the Protestant Reformation. The ideas that Jan Hus taught about religious authority and accessibility inspired Luther, but they also inspired Michael Servetus, who wrote a book about Unitarianism and was burned at the stake for his heresy, and John Calvin, whose ideas of Calvinism led to the Puritans who would come to America and become our historical ancestors here, and the teachings of Francis de Vide in Transylvania, who would found the first Unitarian Church, and King Jan Sigismund, who would proclaim the first edict of religious tolerance in Europe and let people choose what church they would attend. These seeds were scattered and grew in different ways, but they're all part of what became our modern Unitarian Universalism. And so, when the Unitarian Service Committee was founded and began its work in Europe during Nazism, the seeds that had grown on two sides of the ocean reconnected again, and something new grew. The UUSC, which later became the UUSC that we know and love today, was founded because American Unitarians were concerned for European Unitarians and intellectuals and wanted to help them escape Nazi persecution. Unitarian minister Waitstill Sharp and his wife Martha traveled to Europe to organize and assist refugees there, eventually also helping many Jews escape as well. For their heroism, they have been named Righteous Among the Nations by Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center. The seeds they planted inform the ongoing work of humanitarian aid and resistance to injustice that UUSC continues to do around the world. And the work of the Service Committee planted the seeds of our practice of lighting a flaming chalice now. When the Service Committee needed a symbol a logo to make their work look official and a way for people to know who they were, the artist Hans Deutsch drew them a flaming chalice. The seeds of the spirit of resistance that Jan Hus had planted sprouted yet again. And so we inherit a rich garden of resistance, justice and truth-seeking, solidarity with the underprivileged and oppressed, and heroic action and sacrifice. These seeds were tended by the names that we know and celebrate, and many others who have been lost to history, but nonetheless left a legacy. We, gathered here in a voluntary and free faith community, living in a as yet still democratic and somewhat free nation, are the fruits of the dreams our ancestors dreamed and the seeds that they planted.
Our second reading is from the writing of the Reverend James Luther Adams, a renowned ethicist and theologian, Unitarian minister, activist, and beloved seminary professor. Respecting the associational dimension of human existence, we may say, by their groups they shall be known. It is through group participation that sensitivity and commitment to values are given institutional expression. It is through groups that social power is organized. It is through groups that community needs are brought to the focus that affect public policy. It is through groups that the cultural atmosphere of a community and a nation is created.
James Luther Adams is likely the best known and most studied Unitarian theologian of the 20th century. His lifetime almost spanned the entire century. He was born in 1901 in Ritzville, Washington, which is about halfway between Spokane and Moses Lake on what is now Interstate 90. And he died in 1994 at the age of 92. In his lifetime, he experienced 2 world wars and other major world and national events. It was his experience in Nazi Germany during World War II that helped him fully flesh out and develop the ethics and theology that he professed throughout his entire career. He spread his theology and many seeds in many ways around several theological schools. Adams was an ordained Unitarian minister who traveled to Europe between 1927 and 1937, seeking out the leading intellectuals and religious leaders of the time. Adams would become known as a scholar, translator, and editor of many major German theologians' work. In his travels to Europe, Adams smuggled documents to the underground resistance, which he kept hidden under the drawer liners in his boarding house room. He tells the story of his landlady, a war widow with an anti-Nazi perspective, refusing entry to the Gestapo when they came to search Adams' room. At one point, Adams was detained and questioned by the Gestapo for his suspicious association with rabbis and anti-Nazi students. It was during Adams' time in Europe that he felt a deep global political and spiritual crisis, which he said the German universities and churches gave but feeble resistance. And when he returned to the U.S., he spoke against the isolationism and pacifism that was rife in American politics, and which also included anti-Semitism and racism. He found himself asking if we in the U.S. were very different from the feeble resistance that he found in Germany. Adams was famous for speaking of Jesus not only as a compassionate healer and engaging teacher, but also as a skilled community organizer. Like Jesus, Adams knew the power of a good story and developed the skills of organizing. Adams asserted that a liberal faith calls us to work for justice, and that the work requires personal engagement in groups, voluntary associations which seek to influence public life at all levels, from the local to the global. Adams was an advocate of social solidarity. He meant participation in religious life and the ministry of a congregation, a denomination that's based on shared values and a common purpose. Jesus' words in the Christian Bible are, "By their fruits you shall know them." Adams said, "By their groups you shall know them." And I suspect Adams would appreciate the song lyric we're going to sing shortly, "We shall be known by the company we keep." Today we remain inspired and motivated by Adams' teaching and actions. We come together as a faith community not because we are required to do so, but because we choose to. This gathering is our voluntary association. We would aggressively oppose any state-imposed religion because it is against our foundational Unitarian Universalist beliefs, as well as against our country's founding principles. Adams was clear that our voluntary associations, the groups that we choose to be part of, require our stewardship and care because they do not exist or thrive if we don't support them in whatever way we can. We are also motivated by Adam's teaching that we put our faith into action by joining together for the causes of justice. We do this in many ways here at OUUC and in our larger denomination. And one of those ways is the annual Guest at Your Table program sponsored by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. As Reverend Sara said, the UUSC started in World War II as a support for refugees in Europe. They continue today by partnering with people and organizations around the world, working together toward a world that is more loving, just, and healthy. The annual Guest at Your Table program is UUSC's longest running program for congregations, more than 50 years old now, inviting us to bring justice into our awareness during the holiday season. This year, the UUSC has chosen to highlight 4 activists and organizations. Katia Bonte is the director of GAR, a group that helps Haitian refugees who have been deported from the Dominican Republic. These refugees are subject to all kinds of violence and exploitation, as many migrants are around the world. GAR is on the front lines of the battle against discrimination, xenophobia, and the systemic injustices that plague migrants. This organization has been in existence for more than 30 years, and with the help of the UUSC, served more than 16,000 refugees in 2024. Juan Lopez was a courageous leader in the effort to defend the Wapanol River in Honduras from extractive mining. He was a leader of UUSC's partner FSAR and a steward for environmental justice. He was targeted by state and corporate powers and was assassinated in September of 2024. Today, FSAR fights for legal action and government accountability for the destruction of the Wapanol ecosystem, which was allowed by the government despite legislation declaring it a protected area. FSAR also works for accountability for the assassination of Juan Lopez. Victoria Siros is the founder of Pride Asylum House in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which supports LGBTQ+ asylum seekers with housing and case management services. They have worked for the past 3 years as a pilot program and are the only U.S. organization that provides communal housing and innovative case management for LGBTQ asylum seekers. They serve a community that has historically not been well served by philanthropy. So funding has been a challenge. And with UUSC support, they are now looking to expand so that they no longer have to turn people away. Ruth Lopez is the Chief Legal Officer of Anti-Corruption for Cristasol, founded in El Salvador in 2000 to help defend human rights and to promote democratic rule in Central America. They did this by accompanying victims of abuses of power, challenging what they could in the courts, and investigating and documenting human rights violations and corruption. They also provided workshops on transparency and democracy. In May of this year, Ruth Lopez was detained and incarcerated by the El Salvadoran government, targeted for her extensive anti-corruption work and for her positive reputation in the community. Cristasol Executive Director Noah Bullock has been forced to move the organization into exile, leaving their offices in El Salvador and relocating their staff to Guatemala and Honduras. They continue their work in exile with UUSC support. The guest at your table theme for this year is planting seeds of justice. We have powerful stories of the seeds that have been planted throughout history. You can hear another story by joining us in the after-service forum while we'll hear from Harriet Ammann, who grew up in Nazi Germany. All of these stories of our past help us understand who we are and help us envision who we want to be. Adams wrote, "It is through groups that the cultural atmosphere of a community and a nation is created. Our current national challenges are not the result of the actions of one person. There were seeds planted and tended for decades by groups of people who shared a vision of elitism, exploitation, wealth, and oppression. And there are groups that are tending those seeds now. We are also a group of people who can join with other groups in shared values in this voluntary association. And we can declare a vision of pluralism, equity, and interdependence. Many people have planted the seeds of justice before us. We can help tend and harvest those seeds as well as plant more for the next generations. We shall be known by the company we keep. Let's plant more seeds by supporting our partners in justice this holiday season, locally and around the world." Let's sing together, shall we?
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round and tend these lives. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within
We extinguish our chalice with the words of Heather Vickery. When we plant a seed, we aren't always there to see it grow. Plant the seeds of justice anyway. When we water a seed, sometimes we need someone else to water it the next day. Trust in community to nurture the seeds with you. We have all benefited from seeds that others have planted. Now it is our turn to plant, to tend, to nurture. In these hard times, go forth and plant as many seeds of justice as you can, knowing that they will grow and bear fruit when the time is just right. May you go with joy, go with commitment, go with love.